Now that we got hard-boiled eggs, and I must admit they are perfect hard-boiled eggs. One of the things that I brought to your attention a little earlier in my steps to making the perfect egg is how yellow those yolks are without all that yucky looking greenish gray trim on it. And I can show you that all of the yolks, I did 6 eggs, all of the yolks are yellow without that yucky green gray stuff. The other thing is that by boiling them in a flat bottom pan, I've got them perfectly centered. Where sometimes, you know, when you boil an egg, it's real thin on one side or other. These are all perfectly centered. And let me show you that. The next step I'm going to do is just to make a basic deviled egg. Nothing fancy, no crab, no shrimp, no bacon, just a basic deviled egg. I'm going to take my 6 yolks, put them in a bowl, and then I'm going to use a fork to crumble them up. And once we have our yolks crumbled up, we can start adding our ingredients to make these deviled eggs. There's no set quantity. It's all based upon the way you like it as far as how much you use. If you like it really soft and creamy, you add more mayo. If you want it more firm, you add less. If you like to have a tangy type taste, you add some Dijon mustard. If you don't want that type of taste, don't put it in. If you like relish, that gives it a little sweet taste to it, put it in. If you don't like it, take it out. I use white pepper. That way you don't see black flakes all in the creamy yolks. And a little bit of salt. Now be careful with the amount of salt because with your mayo and with your mustard, you don't need as much because you're getting flavors from that. Tabasco. I have a little bit of Tabasco I put in it for a little, It's not going to be hot. It's not going to burn the tongue or anything like that. It just adds another level of flavor. So now let's first start with our mayo. And I'm going to start with maybe a dollop and a half, which is approximately about 3 tablespoons. I'm going to put in there about a teaspoon of mustard and about a teaspoon of pickle relish. And we're going to first mix that all up just so that we get our textures right. So just swizzle it around, it'll get creamy. If you like a chunkier filling for your deviled eggs, then leave it chunky. If you want a super creamy, you might want to use a food processor or something like that to make a super creamy, even textured filling. I'm going to take my little spatula, do a little bit more mixing. And I think I've got a texture that I like. Now to add the other ingredients, just a little bit of white pepper, doesn't take much, and I call that more like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. Salt, I'm going to go with maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt also. And a little boing of Tabasco. And we're going to mix that. And once we've got it mixed, we're going to do a quick little taste just to make sure that it meets my expectations. I think that's very good. Very, very good. I don't think it needs any more. And there we've got our filling. Now that we've got our deviled egg filling prepared, now we've got to get it in our shells. And the easiest way to do that, and everybody does this, very simple, inexpensive, is just to take a Ziploc type bag, put it in a holder or something that'll keep it upright with one of the bottom points at the bottom there, and just put in your egg yolk filling. And we're going to use this vessel to pipe out our filling into our deviled eggs. Try to get as much out as I can. And I don't want to waste any of this yumminess. Some people do it with just a teaspoon. That's fine. Just depends on what kind of presentation you want. That's for me there. Then we'll take our bag. Got it on there pretty good, don't I? And we'll get our filling down to the end of this bag. And see this tip right here? We're going to cut that tip off, and then we can fill our pipe in our filling. You can get some fancy piping tools and make real fancy peaks or scallops, but I think this works for me. Once you've filled all of them, you can go back around and add more to ones which may not have been as filled as you wanted them to be. My eggs are filled and they're ready to eat, actually. Now some people like to make them fancy and do lots of fancy things to them, and you can do that. Some basic, just everyday things that my mother used to do is just to sprinkle with a little bit of paprika. And that just gives it a little color. Or one of the other things that you could do is to take some chives and just cut them up into little pieces and dabble on top, or even spring onion. Also, what I like to look at is putting something like, this is smoked salmon, and I've just cut it into strips and just put it on top. And you have a nice little treat. If you have something like capers, you can take a couple of capers and put them on top. Or, just it's endless. Shrimp, crab, those things, bacon, whatever you want to go with your deviled eggs. Deviled eggs can go with just about anything. You can use them on platters for presentation at parties, hors d'oeuvres, potlucks. You can take them to picnics because they're easy to travel. Or you can just have them as a snack at home when you feel like it. Easy, easy, easy. Deviled eggs. Deviled eggs can go with just about anything. You can use them on platters for presentation at parties, hors d'oeuvres, potlucks. You can take them to picnics because they're easy to travel. Or you can just have them as a snack at home when you feel like it. Easy, easy, easy. Deviled eggs. This is Sylvie Curry, Lady of Q, and I want to thank you for watching. I invite you to share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. Come back, okay?